Welcome to Upstart Footy Preview. This time last year, after round 14, St Kilda were sitting equal top on the ladder. West Coast were on the bottom of the ladder, and people had just gone to Twitter to get entertainment. Well, things have changed, haven't they? Because now St Kilda are in the bottom 8, West Coast are in the top 8, and people have gone to planking for entertainment. So try and figure that one out. I'm Ben Waterworth, and he's back after a bit of a session on the Gold Coast. He looks a little bit more tanned than usual. John Takemura, good to see you made it back in one piece.
Yeah, good to see you too, Benny. And yeah, good weekend on the Gold Coast.
Yes.
And very impressed with Metricon Stadium.
Good stadium?
Very good stadium, very good facilities. And I recommend you, for a Victorian side going over to the Gold Coast, to make an appearance out there, I reckon.
Friday night footy at Etihad Stadium tonight. Melbourne taking on the Western Bulldogs. A very, very important game for Melbourne. Almost more important than last week's game against Richmond, because Melbourne now have an opportunity to beat a side below them, a side that has really disappointed this season. And this will be their third win in a row as well. So I'm going for the D's in this one, JTAC, against the Western Bulldogs side that has been involved in a little bit of controversy.
Get the blowtorch, Benny.
The blowtorch?
The blowtorch.
JTAC's attack. I'm very nervy.
Justin Sherman and the AFL are under my blowtorch today. He should have been given at least an 8-week suspension. What happened was totally unacceptable, and as a proud community club, the Bulldogs were embarrassed by what happened on the weekend, and as a Bulldogs supporter myself, I was embarrassed with what happened on the weekend.
Not good, not good.
And the AFL is also under the gun for me.
Jeez.
They leaked the player's name when
good.
they said they would not.
It's ordinary.
And it's quite clear that the name came from them. They should have signed confidentiality agreements, and poor old Joel Wilkinson for the Gold Coast has really been put under the hammer here when he clearly didn't deserve to be.
Are your boys going to win on tonight?
I think they will. I think Melbourne really struggle at Etihad Stadium, and I think, you know, if the Doggies want to keep their finals hopes alive, Rodney Eade says they want to win 7 from 9. They've got to win this one, but if Melbourne are a fair dinkum finals team, got to back it up 2 weeks in a row.
And they are, and they will, and they'll win tonight. Expect plenty of sparks and lots of emotion at the MCG on Saturday afternoon when traditional rivals Richmond and Carlton take on each other. Both teams cost a lot of people tips last weekend. They went into the games as favourites but came out as losers. Who was the biggest loser? I'm not 100% sure. Carlton very disappointing, Richmond very disappointing. However, Carlton are more advanced in my opinion here, JTAC, and I think they'll be too strong for the Tigers on Saturday.
Yeah, I think so. I think Chris Judd's going to have a pretty big game on the weekend. A bit disappointing. Only 4 kicks, 17 handballs against his former side, the Eagles. Scott Selwood did a very good job on him. And I saw the second half of the Carlton West Coast game when I was at the airport, and very, very disappointed with what Carlton put up. I think their tall forward line still got some real questions that need to be answered. But I think they'll do enough to beat Richmond, who were a bit disappointing last week.
Two young teams go at it on Saturday afternoon. Fremantle hosting the Gold Coast Suns. Gold Coast second game at Patterson Stadium this season. You got a first-hand look at the Gold Coast last weekend. JTAC up at Metricon Stadium. It was the Pav show for the Dockers last week. He kicked 5 goals and had 29 touches. Just a lazy day. Good for Dream Team as well. I think the Dockers won't have too many issues despite their injury list.
Yeah, I think the Dockers will win this one. Just very impressed with Gold Coast last week, particularly Tom Lynch across centre half.
Good Dukes.
He's a real
great Dukes.
Real player for the future.
Yes.
I think him, Dixon, and Sam Day in their 4 line. David Swallow was very good again, but I don't think they've got enough talent to beat Freo, despite their crippling injury list. Did just enough to beat Brisbane. I think they'll do just enough here.
Essendon take on Geelong at Etihad Stadium on Saturday night. Gee, I tell you what, this one could get very ugly, JTAC. Two teams in very contrasting form lines. Geelong continues to go from strength to strength, while the Bombers, what a disappointing last 2 months they've had. Very ordinary. I think Geelong will do this one very easily.
Yeah, main concern for Essendon, Patrick Ryder.
Oh, does he want to play footy?
I don't know, mate. I don't know how he's still in the side, to be honest. He hasn't done anything since about round 2. Tom Bellchambers should play instead of him, I believe.
Yep.
And I think Essendon with their injuries, no Lonergan, Jobe Watson injured his hamstring again. I can't see him getting anywhere near Geelong. And Geelong, 8 players last week, 20 games or less, must be good for the future.
Yeah, very good for the future. Steve Wells done a great job with that in terms of recruiting. So, Cats easily?
Definitely.
If you want to see an absolute slog, make sure you set your Foxtel IQ for Adelaide versus Sydney on Saturday night. This will be a low-scoring contest, you would assume, but I think the Swans will be way too strong for the Crows, who many consider, despite sitting 14th on the ladder, are probably the worst team in the competition at the moment.
I agree with that, Benny. And I think it will be low-scoring one way. I think Adelaide are going to struggle to score goals. They kicked 5 last week before they kicked 5 in the last quarter when Geelong we're basically focusing on next week.
Yep.
Very disappointing team, and I think Sydney will win this game, I reckon, by 8 to 10 goals.
Jeez. Can you believe it? There is so much to play for on Sunday afternoon when Brisbane Lions take on Port Adelaide. Whoever wins this game gets an extra game on the Gold Coast, who will probably lose to Fremantle, let's be honest. It puts them out of wooden spoon sort of territory. This is a big game. I like what the Lions did against the Dockers last week, especially in that first half. And if Jay Brown is able to sort of get off the leash and get his dukes out, I reckon the Lions will probably win this one at home.
Yeah, I think the Lions are going to be too strong. Port Adelaide's record on the road is
bad,
dismal, to say the least.
Very poor.
But I think, you know, it's going to be a tight game. Congratulations to Dean Brogan on his career for the
very good
Port
player.
Adelaide.
Yes.
Won an NBL championship and an AFL premiership. No one's ever done that before, so well done to him. But I think Brisbane will win this game if they want to avoid the wooden spoon.
Yeah. Wow, 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 wow. Collingwood versus Hawthorn, Sunday afternoon at the MCG. Ah! You scared, J-Tac? That's how scary Collingwood's form has been in the last since they lost to Geelong, they have been scary, J-Tac, just like you were just then. Hawks, very impressive against the Bombers. That injury list just continues to grow by the week. I can't see them getting anywhere near the Pies, really. I know people think this is going to be close, but Collingwood are just so far ahead of everyone else at the moment. And with Hawthorn's dwindling injury list, I think Collingwood will do this easily.
Not so sure. I think Collingwood will still win, though. They were a bit scratchy last week against Sydney.
Yeah.
A bit inaccurate in front of goal. Only won by 6 points. Lance Franklin back for Hawthorn. Big inclusion, but no Brad Sewell. And get on Isaac Smith for Dream Team, fellas and ladies out there. Trust me, he's an absolute star. 3 goals on the weekend, and you know, he's going to be a player for the future for the Hawks. No Jordan Lewis either for them, which is yet another blow. And I think Collingwood will win by 4 or 5 goals.
Surely. Round 15 concludes with North Melbourne hosting St Kilda at Etihad Stadium. See that, J-Tac? That's the bandwagon just going past La Trobe University at the moment. Hop on, because North Melbourne are going places. They'll win against St Kilda on Sunday afternoon. That'll be their 5th win in a row. And St Kilda, I mentioned at the start of the show, were sitting equal top this time last year. A far cry from what's going on this season. I think North Melbourne, 5 wins in a row for mine, J-Tac.
I couldn't agree with you more, Benny. I saw North Melbourne the second half on Sunday on my way home from the Gold Coast. They were very impressive, Benny. Drew Petrie outstanding up forward, getting back to his 2008 form.
Good dukes.
And I like Cameron Pedersen's game up forward. Gives him a good option.
He's good.
North Melbourne's midfield was excellent against Port Adelaide. Daniel Wells in great form again. I think they'll run St Kilda off their legs and maybe knock St Kilda out once and for all in 2011. I
think St Kilda are gone anyway, but that bandwagon's just waiting for you to jump on, J-Tac. That's all we have time for an Upstart footy preview. John Takemura, good to see you nice and tanned back from the Gold Coast. Your work is always crisp.
Thanks very much, Benny.
And very much a big thank you to Radhika Chopra, who's behind the camera at the moment. She's been doing Upstart footy preview for the last semester. We do appreciate your work, Rads. Thanks a lot. Thanks also to all our bigfooty.com viewers. We do appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you stick around on upstart.net.au, of course, the magazine for emerging journalists.